they have a chance to actually win games. But that was just a complete and total debacle if you're the Broncos. And if you were the Dolphins, it's a thing of beauty. It's the kind of thing that makes you think, if you're a Dolphins fan, team of destiny.
Right, it does. It's the kind of win, the kind of performance, the way you look on the field. You know, it makes you think we can win the Super Bowl. You're right. We're a Super Bowl football team. And like this just did, they're a Super Bowl football team. You know, we've kind of been trying to say that the whole year, but it's one of the most talented teams in football. Both sides of the ball. I know Jalen Ramsey's not even out there. Jalen Waddle's not even out there.
Hang on a second. This is not technical difficulties. We have to Keystone Cops the highlights so we can get them all in.
For all just 10 touchdowns. But, one, the creativity, the talent on the field, the way Tua's playing. And then the big thing that we've talked about a little last week, and we hit on it yesterday a little too, is just that they're running the ball this year. Last year, McDaniel got frustrated with the run at times, didn't want to stay patient. I think he got a little in love with, I got Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and I love these toys, and let me keep playing with them. And they kind of lost their way in the run game. This year, that is not the case in all three football games. And, yesterday, you really kind of felt it the first drive of the game because it was, 3 plays, 75 yards for a touchdown, and you were like, wow, people are just open everywhere, and that was easy. Then the second drive of the game, it wasn't as many plays, but they still went down, I want to say 8 or 9 plays. Is that what it was? 9 plays for 81, and it was a machine, and you just felt like, wow, I don't know if the Broncos can stop them today. It doesn't look like it, and it just continued to snowball and go crazy from there for the Miami Dolphins.
I talked to running back Raheem Mostert after the game. He had 4 touchdowns total, 3 on the ground and 1 through the air. That would be the other thing if it's not on the ground. And he said they just knew right away they're not going to be able to stop us. They've got no answers. They never had any answers. And he never came out and said the Broncos quit. Jason Garrett said it last night. I was surprised by that. Not that I disagree with him, but a former head coach to say on Football Night in America, the Broncos quit. I mean, that is a strong statement in week 3, and we were trying to make sense of it last night in the video that we do after halftime. I feel like it's critical for a new coach to get his players to buy in, and you got to get a win early, or they don't buy in. And after this debacle, how are you ever going to get the Broncos to buy in? We had the clip of Garrett Bowles dropping a couple of S-bombs, and they're dejected and they're down. But if they really did quit, what do you do today if you're Sean Payton with that team? Do you have to go cut a couple of guys? What do you do? Do you have to fire Vance Joseph?
Well, no, I don't think so, but I do think you have to kind of do something drastic to shake it up a little bit. Now, I don't know whether that's just a great speech, burn the film. I mean, there's, something to kind of rally the troops a little bit. You got to be careful about, just cutting players, trying to make an example. Vance Joseph certainly is going to be under a lot of scrutiny, but I don't know. That might, destabilize the whole thing even more by making a move like that. Then it's like, damn, our coaches, he's not rational sometimes. We got our butt kicked, and he's just going to start firing people and pointing fingers, right? And, of course, you're coming off of preseason where he made a few comments that got public, and it looked like he was kind of blaming things already. So they'll bounce back. He's still a great football coach. And I don't know if I would go to say they'd quit yesterday, but I would certainly say that they had their heart and soul ripped out of them somewhere like, mid to late third quarter, and they certainly weren't playing as intense or throwing their body around quite the way they were in the first half of the game. But that's understandable. I mean, damn, I'm looking at my notes. I'm going, Miami's doing whatever they want. They can't be stopped, run or pass. I mean, it didn't matter. They tried to run out the clock, end the game. They're still gashing them for big plays like you see Robbie Chosen and A-Chain run up and down the football field on them. So really tough loss for the Broncos. And you're right, people in that locker room would be questioning a little bit everything right now about where they're going, and is Sean Payton really all built, what would I want to say? Is he all that they say he is? Right.
How much was it Drew Brees?
Yeah, right. All those things are going to start to kind of.
The game passed him by. All these questions are going to be fair game now when you lose 70-20.
Exactly.
And they've got a couple of winnable games coming up. They've got the Bears and they've got the Jets back-to-back weeks. And 0-3 can become 2-3.
Yeah.
And it changes everything.
That does, right.
So Payton's got to have the right touch here.
Yeah.
Do you show sympathy for your guys? Because look. we're wrong almost as often as we're right. But one thing that we were right about this weekend, and one thing I felt strongly about, was the Dolphins are going to kick the shit out of the Broncos. Like,
you picked the kick in the shit out of the part of it. I picked it a little closer,
yeah,
so I give
but
you credit.
But I thought, okay,
yeah.
Look, this is one of those, we have enough connective tissue to figure this out. And I look at the Broncos losing to the Raiders, losing to the Commanders, both at home, games that were set up for them to win. And now, here comes a team that's looked pretty damn good, and they have to go down there to Miami. And you've talked in the past about the challenges of going to Miami and playing.
Yeah,
and
right.
They just boom. And so if you're Sean Payton, I guess you have to look at it and say, look, you lose by 1 point or you lose by 50 points. It's just one loss, and you got to move on to the next one.
And you better be ready, and we got to be on the details, and it doesn't matter who it is. And, yeah, it stinks they lost those first 2 games because they could have easily been going into that game 2-0 with a totally different feel. Yes, but, you're going into 0-2, and all of a sudden things snowball out of control, and – you're going, damn, we just don't got it. We can't figure out ways to win a football game. I think the thing that Sean Payton will do today, and this might be really the only way, is self-blame. It's going to be, we didn't coach you good enough. I mean, he's going to have to take this one on the chin. We didn't do a good enough job. He's got to be careful. Of course, I'm sure he'll point some things out to players.
Especially after last week with the whole, starting to blame Russ.
Exactly.
With the whole, we got to simplify the verbiage and we got to beef up the wristband. And, never said that once in 15 years with Drew Brees.
Right.
I mean, the message was clear.
Right.
Got to be careful this week not to blame the players.
Yeah, exactly right. I think so. He's still getting to know them. This is still a fairly new marriage here. So I think he will kind of take the blame, and Vance Joseph will take the blame, and they'll say they got to do better. And what you saw again, too, just against – you got to have a special defense to stop the Dolphins. And if you don't have a special defense, which the Broncos don't, it's a good defense, or at least we thought it was until yesterday, that you can't just think you're going to sit back and, I'll be sound and we'll be simple and we'll be in this area to stop this and this area to stop that. They're too smart. They're too good. You have to – when you play the Dolphins, you got to force the issue a little bit. You got to do some things where, they aren't expecting a blitz in this situation, in this formation. We never did this. Or even take some chances where you go, we don't like to do this, but we have no choice because, the Dolphins' offense is so good and detailed that you really can't be right. It feels like the Eagles last year a little bit. When you overplay one thing, they have the next thing for checks and balances to go, okay, well, now you got to fix this. And that's where, they're going to be an anomaly for defensive coordinators all year, and it's going to take special game plans to slow them down.
We're going to flip it around and fully praise the Dolphins in a moment. Before we close the book on the Broncos, let's have a listen to Coach Sean Payton after the game, talking to reporters about giving up the most points in any NFL game since 1966. Have a listen.
Obviously, that was embarrassing and tough to watch. Aside from the kick return, there weren't a lot of positives to take from that game. We had our opportunities offensively early, 2 penalties, take touchdowns off the board, and I don't know that – I think they punted 1 time. So any questions?
You said it's embarrassing, but this is kind of an historic game.
I'm aware.
3rd time a team has scored 70 points over 7.
What's the question? What's the question?
How do you feel about it being
I just finished telling you.
Historically embarrassing.
Next question. Again, it's disappointing. I'm at a loss for words because I've never been I've been on the other side of some games like that, and then every once in a while in this league, you get your butt whipped, but this was more than that.
That's right.
I don't know who the reporter was, and a lot of times you see the folks who cover the team on a regular basis maybe tiptoe on eggshells. But, it was embarrassing. Hey, it's historically embarrassing. Can you comment on that? It's just not your run-of-the-mill embarrassment.
Well,
this is an embarrassment that stands out among all others. Would you care to comment on that? I mean, that was a gutsy move.
It was a gutsy move. Well, yeah. I mean, it's Sean Payton. He's pretty aware of the history of football, and he knows 70 and 700 yards and all that stuff doesn't happen. So you don't need to lay it out there for him. He was already letting you know how embarrassing that was. So I understand him getting a little frustrated. And of course, he's a competitor. I don't ever remember him on this side of a butt whooping like this. The one thing I love about Sean Payton, and you've heard me say it, and with the creativity, the passing, all that, the one thing his teams have always been is physical and tough. They really have. It kind of goes under the radar because of the passing yards things. But yeah, this was a different level of butt whooping. This was out-coached, out-talented on the football field, and then, out-hustled and playing hard. It just was everything you want to talk about a football team. The Dolphins won it, and the Broncos were certainly less than, and it was a disaster. I've never seen anything like it. Like, is there anything you can remember? Like, what ranks up there with this to you as far as, like, just every time we looked up, we were like, whoa, there's another 50-yard play. Whoa, there's a 40-yard pass. I can't remember anything quite like it.
Well, two things.
Yeah.
I remember back in the 70s,
Right.
20 years before free agency, true free agency, and the salary cap kind of evened out the rosters, and there was a dramatic imbalance between some teams and others. I remember games that were 53-10. I mean, it felt like that happened every few weeks, that there was just a team that was grossly superior to another team, and that other team was just going to get stomped.
Patriots, Titans, maybe like 10 years ago, maybe.
And it felt like it was never going to end.
No.
Like every time you look at the clock, it's like there's still 14 minutes left in this damn game. And,
right.
and it's not like there was never a sense that the Dolphins were running it up. Now, the counter to that always is, hey, you got to stop them. Hey, this is big boy sport. But there was never a sense the Dolphins were even trying to do it. They put their backup quarterback in, and everything still worked.
Yeah.
They put in this running back, and it works. And they put in this guy, and it works. And it was just an ass-kicking start to finish. So I had really nothing at the time that I could look at and say, hey, I've seen this before. And I've never seen 70 points.
No.
So you hear about a handful of games, a small handful of games where that many points are scored, but they were on the brink of history. The fans were booing. When I talked to Raheem Mostert, it's like, did you realize what they were booing? He's like, yeah, we knew that we were close to history, and he kind of wanted them to do it. And at the end of the day, they didn't do it. They could have done it. They could have stuck the dagger in the Broncos and gotten that extra 3 points. And I wonder if the shoe was on the other foot, would Sean Payton have done it? Here's Mike McDaniel, coach of the Dolphins, discussing why ultimately they decided, no, look at that.
Oh,
that
was a sweet play.
Tua.
That's
really
nice.
He
did that twice in this one, but that was cool. Little behind the back and righty, right? I mean, he's a lefty, so that was kind of cool. But yeah, this is what separates them right now. When Mostert and A-Chain now can run the ball like this, defenses are going to be in big trouble because, of course, we know covering Waddle when he's in the lineup along with Tyreek Hill is hard enough as it is. This was the only play I questioned why this was called.
Yeah.
Right? The deep post or go route to Robbie Chosen when I think the game at that point might have been 49-13. No, it was actually 56-13. That was the only one the whole game I was like, why are they throwing that
at a certain point, you just run the ball.
Right.
But when you've emptied your bench and it's an opportunity for your backups to get some reps,
that's right.
You treat it like a preseason game at that point.
Yeah, get them some reps.
And you don't think about the score. You're thinking we're getting reps for our backups.
That's true.
We already put our backups in.
Yeah.
What more can we do?
Right.
We're going to run our plays and get our guys some practice because if Tua gets hurt, we're going to need Mike White to come in and play. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.